Amazon sucks sometimes, but the people who are way worse are the people who sell on it. So, also, it's good to have a woman in your life if you're a guy like me who's good at building things, but not really good at thinking about what needs to get built or done with the house or decorated or anything like that. And so, Mrs. Twos wanted to put some covers on the windows in the living room and pick some out. I'm like, okay, well, I need one of those silicone squeegees. So I go on Amazon. You can't buy one of them. You have to buy two of them, okay? I don't need two of these. I'm not going to ever, with the exception of right now, for this example, be holding two of these at the same time. But if they just sell one, they don't make as much money. And so they need to sell two to justify their added revenue. But they're one of these is completely extraneous. It serves absolutely no purpose. It's basically the NDP of online ordering. And I've got it because I had to buy it because I couldn't just buy one. I want to just send it back and be like, look, just give it to somebody else. I don't fucking want it. Fuck off with your stupid consumerism bullshit. You want to talk about saving the environment? All this silicone, it could have gone into anything else. Literally,
get rid of the extra. Yeah, get rid of the extra. Oh boy.
Like you see it with small things that you want to buy online where they don't let you just buy one. You have to buy 2 or 5 or 10. It's idiocy.
Welcome to Mashup 107, everyone. I'm. There you go, Twos. There you go.
That's a beauty right there.
There you go. Represent a little nice 222 today.
Glenn Giebert says you like twos of things. Okay, I can appreciate that, but I don't.
Well played, Glenn. Well played,
Glenn.
Well played. Happy Airborne Friday to all you military folk out there,
especially Jamie, newly retired.
That's right. And then we hop right to 825 days, Twos. That's what we're up to for Anthony Olenek and Christopher Carbert. Still stuck behind bars. 825 is where they're at.
Do they get time and a half or double time for Remand Center?
Somebody comment. I would love to give you the answer. It's for sure double, is it not?
Because basically it's kind of at a point where they're going to have so many bank days. I wonder if it's like, when you have a job and you work your day off and then you get to bank a day and then you'll have a whole bunch of vacation lined up. Like really, by the time this is all said and done, they could feasibly get out and just go on a killing spree, and then they could just take it out of time already served. It's like a freebie.
Well, I guess they got that to look forward to. Two guys who look like they couldn't harm a fly. They can go on a killing spree. That's what Twos is suggesting because it's double jeopardy, right? Like, I mean, well, kind of.
Well, really. It's not double jeopardy. But
it's not double jeopardy because they
if you've already got a whole bunch of bank days.
I get what you're saying. They can go on holiday. Facility. They can go on judiciary holiday.
Well, we sentence you to 5 years in prison. You'd be like, okay, well, just take it off my account. Take it off my tab, basically.
Put it on my tab. Yeah. All right, 107. I want to get into it. We got lots to talk about this week. And, where are we going to start? Sask Party sacks Speaker. On his way out the door, the Speaker of Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan is accusing government MLAs of harassing and intimidating him over his rulings during his 4 years in the position. Quoted, "What I've had to endure has been unacceptable," Randy Weeks said on Thursday as the session was wrapping up. Premier Scott Moe said the Speaker's comments stem from sour grapes after losing his Saskatchewan Party nomination race. One of the quotes that Weeks read out was received from Government House Leader Jeremy Harrison. It said, "That's an absolute bullshit ruling, completely wrong, and the clerk will tell you that." Donna Harpier, Saskatchewan Deputy Premier and Finance Minister, was quoted saying,
"She's the one who did the $8,000 plane ride from to Regina."
She was quoted saying, "Randy, if you blatantly lie, tarnish reputations of elected and unelected individuals with innuendos, but no proof, we have no avenue to push back. This assembly has become a joke and a stage for an opposition puppet show. Disappointing." There you go. There's Saskatchewan politics in a nutshell. Twos?
Well, the Speaker of the House is basically the ref. And nobody likes the ref. Nobody cheers for the ref ever. As an Oilers fan, you guys have a very long and storied history of blaming the ref. I think you've been doing it for just about 40 years now. About 35 anyway. Oh, it's the ref. Oh, it's the ref. It's the ref. And the speaker at provincial or federal level is basically the ref. And if you're not pissing everybody off as the ref, you're probably doing a bad job.
So you're saying the fact the NDP are sad to see him go is telling?
Well, obviously they're going to say they're sad to see him go because without having watched very much question period in Saskatchewan, they're probably going to think that he's the most reasonable person they could have asked for in that thing. But the Sask Party isn't looking for anybody reasonable. They're looking for a cheerleader disguised as a ref, which is what everyone in Vancouver is accusing the refs of right now. All right, Daryl, just got here in time to hear who's complaining about, I'm assuming, public sector workers getting too much time off, and I couldn't agree more. Well, you know what, Daryl? You're going to have to sit tight for a little while, but we are going to talk about that and the ongoing drama that is a bunch of whiny crybaby assholes. Oh, also, wouldn't it be cool if you had a Speaker of the House who's like an ex-rig hand?
Yes.
Like, instead of being like, it's totally unacceptable that they said that what I was doing was unacceptable. I'd love to just hear like them trying to push back on some guy who says, listen, fuckstick, you need to pull your head directly out of your fucking ass and get the fuck to work, or you're going to walk home.
Politicians all got to serve like a month as a rig hand. They just got to be the lowest on the totem pole and just get... Man,
well, no, it's not that they have to be the lowest on totem.
No, they should be
good at it. Do whatever you're good at, but you're gonna suck at that. So
no. They got to start at the bottom too. They got to start at the two.
Well, no, but I mean, you know, if you had an old rig hand, wow, yeah, I was gonna say if you had an old rig hand, he could just
then he would start at the bottom. He'd be like, yeah, sure, what the hell? I'll go to the bottom. It's not a big deal.
Like, oh, this is because I mean, roughnecking the easiest job on the rig. Yeah. All right. Anyways,
Supreme Travelers, the Right Honorable Richard Wagner, Chief Justice of Canada, was pleased to participate in the J20 Summit held in Rio de Janeiro from May 12th to 14th. The J20 Summit assembled the heads of Supreme and Constitutional Courts of the G20 members, the African Union, and the European Union. This was the first time the Chief of Justice of Canada attended the J20. Delegates discussed three topics: promoting citizenship and social inclusion led by the judiciary, climate litigation, and digital transformation and the use of technology to enhance efficiency. Quoted, I was honored to share the Canadian perspective on these legal issues, which are important to Canada, said Chief Justice Wagner. This was a unique opportunity to learn from other G20 members countries and promote respect for the rule of law, both at home and abroad.
Okay, well, if you want a digital transformation in the judiciary efficiency, how about a fucking Skype call? Zoom. This is yet another thing that could have easily been a Zoom call. Or even just have, like, this is just the classic, oh, you get a cushy appointment with the government, and now they're just going to pay you to fly all over the world. And I know I've said this before, but they always have to pick the sexy locations. Let's go to RDJ. Nobody wants to go to Winnipeg. Have one of these in Omaha. No one's going to fucking show up. If you actually wanted to make it serious, you're there to work, right? Aren't you there to work? Isn't that the whole point of it?
And you look at the money of it. I look at mine's like head of our Supreme Court meeting, and one of the things they're talking about is climate litigation. I look at this and I see the countries all getting their heads together and we all know this isn't going to help us. That's what I look at. I'm like, that's what unnerves me about this, is how many people in that meeting said, you know what? You guys sound freaking crazy. Like, you want to talk about rights and freedoms and some stuff? How about we start doing that? No? Okay, well, hit the buzzer. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. Bad things are going to come from this too, not just the spending of money.
All right.
Oilers suck. They really, really suck. McDavid sucks. Draisaitl sucks. The Moose sucks. Wayne sucks. Signed an angry Calgary Flames fan. That's what you are. I can't believe
you actually read that. I even had a backup banner ready that says, Sean, you have to read the banners.
Well, here I don't need to.
This was clever.
This was clever. This was clever. So if you're looking on the screen, you're going to see at the Oilers the big screen. What they did was they brought up Vancouver Canucks fans, and then they pre-timed a bunch of videos of Canucks fans looking in here,
and then
the mascot,
what kind of goofy things that they would be looking at on their phones, like Candy Crush at the game, and where to buy Oilers jerseys and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Actually, it was quite well done. Hats off to them.
I was when we went with Alex Craner, I was expecting more of that, like what you saw there, and I was like, where, because they used to have the Kiss Cam, and I didn't see that, and I didn't see a
couple. Were you wanting to get on the Kiss Cam?
No, not at all, not at all. Just that they usually, I remember when they were playing the Ducks. This is years ago, and they had some Looney Tunes videos and stuff of that nature of hunting ducks, and it was clever. They put a lot of things. Here's Mike Commodore.
Real quick, 10 years ago, if you had two Canucks fans at an Oilers game, they probably, like, if you had two dudes in Canucks jerseys right next to each other, they probably would have been on the Kiss Cam.
Fair.
And that would have been funny. It still is, but you can't say that it's funny.
And here's Mike Commodore saying, Canucks fan says Edmonton is a dump. Oilers fan says, at least I own my house. So everybody getting in on it. Hey, we got I'll say this. Last night's game, uber frustrating. Okay. We got great goaltending. Picard played great. And our power play went 0 for 5. When was the last time you saw an Oilers power play go 0 for 5? Yeah, I know, but you were struggling. Glenn coming from Vancouver. Yeah, okay. This is what I say to you, Glenn. You were struggling to get past our backup as well. So you
guys are basically Toronto. Like they've got a farm team goalie. They may as well have the Zamboni driver.
I'll tell you what. Right? I'll give
Trisha.
Yeah. Carson, Susie. Okay,
those elk sausages were amazing. Woohoo, Vancouver and Carson Saucy. You're saucy about Saucy, aren't you? Aren't you, Sean? Okay, all right. Here's our next headline.
Get to the next headline, you jackass.
Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure that is the next headline. Can you just
yeah, come on. Let's go here. The NDP are not a serious party. The NDP leader. Well, I'm going to show a couple tweets here. I'm just gonna bring it up. Okay, here the NDP leadership candidates are in Athabasca tonight for an event, and Athabasca wants no part of it. If you're listening, it's a truck with a sign beside it parked out front saying "Say no to socialism." Then we have watch in the back, folks. Watch in the back. Here's a sing at a press conference.
Matter.
Audio doesn't
Guy
matter.
In the yellow. Waka 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 waka. Oh.
That's great. So once again, for the listener, he's just running his gums.
Walking out of the grocery store, and they're doing a pointless press conference with only one person behind him, and this dude's walking by in the background, and he just does the waka 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 thing with his hand.
Because everybody knows the NDP is not a serious party. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, wait. Naheed Nenshi called conservatives monkeys during the NDP debate. And Gil McGowan, who, if anybody saw that video I made a couple weeks ago, ran the most unserious party I think I've ever seen, or the unserious campaign I've ever seen in my life. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But he had to drop out because he was $50,000 short of the required entrance fee of $60,000. These are the people that want to be in charge of the finances of the province, Sean.
Assassin's Creed brings diversity to Japan. Okay, I'm going to bring up the tweet. We'll start here. Okay, we're going to bring up, so this guy right here, okay? Twitter former employee of Ubisoft, Mark Kern, says Ubisoft changed Assassin's Creed Shadows, throwing away the original story and instead running with Yaki, an obscure black retainer of Nobunaga. Somebody, Henry, is laughing in his workplace right now. I know you are, because I can't pronounce any of these names. Anyways, they turned a story about a Japanese samurai warrior from like the main character who has this long history story in their culture to the black guy. And
yeah, although the black guy, like, he's not that obscure. Like, I knew who this guy was before I even read this article. He basically just moved to Japan, and he was like the first black guy to ever visit Japan, and he stayed there for most of his life, I think, or maybe all of it, after being there. But not as a samurai and not as an assassin. Here's a picture of the woman who's the head writer. Screams DEI. So I wonder if this is being done by that sweet baby or little baby or whatever, that consulting company for video games that has had this absolutely horrible track record for every video game they've put out or that they've worked on has been a dumpster fire in terms of critical reception and sales. Also, if you're black, do you really need to dress up like a ninja? Well, because I mean, like,
what? What are you talking about?
Okay,
Oh
Daryl.
my.
RE, two dudes on Kiss Cam. This is good because, you know, if you're talking about something that happened a couple minutes ago, it's good to know exactly what we're talking about. Like, Carla Bellowin said, "Now you are funny, roughly so twos," and I had no idea where that fit in. So, Daryl, RE, two dudes on Kiss Cam. Gay jokes are supposedly only funny if you're bend over backwards pro-gay while making fun of a guy like Mike Pence. At least that's how Hollywood behave. Yes, absolutely. And then Carla again, too funny. So thank you. I'm not quite sure where that fit in. Hopefully all of it.
I don't know. It's 107. We're off the rails. The budget fiasco continues. Of course it does. The Trudeau government is continuing to face significant backlash from its decision to hike the capital gains tax. The decision has sparked condemnation from the tech sector, derision from Trudeau's former finance minister, warnings from the country's doctors that it could force thousands of them into early retirement. And just this week, Trudeau responded to all this by releasing a 3-minute video explaining the tax change as a critical measure to build a fair country. If you haven't seen the 3-minute video, we decided not to show the entire thing here.
It's painful.
It's painful. You should go watch it.
Don't have anything handy that you could throw at the screen while you're watching it.
Correct.
But you are probably going to yell.
It screams communist or socialism.
Entitlement. He talks about investment bankers, despite the fact that all the highest paid people in the country all work in healthcare. Okay. And also, one thing that hasn't really been touched on as far as this capital gains thing is that it's effectively backdating your capital gains. Right? Like if it said something along the lines of capital gains incurred after June of this year would be at the higher rate, I would still hate it, but I would hate it slightly less. The fact is that any capital gains before this are now, it'd be like if Trudeau said, "Hey, we changed the tax laws for the year 2017 and everybody in Canada owes us another $500." That's what essentially this is.
Yeah, anytime the government tries taking more money to us, we're only taking, you know, in his video, he's like, we're only taking 50%. I just don't have time for
after
government.
tax money. So here's what happens with capital gains. Here, let me just break this down for you real quick.
Sure. You can break it down.
You get some.
You're just saying in one breath. You're like, if it's 66.6%, 2/3. You might, as long as it's in 2026, I'm okay with it. Screw that. This government is going to get like an extra $18 billion from this capital gains tax, roughly.
Laffer curve, buddy. It's gonna go down.
Well, I understand that, but that's what they're projecting. And then they give $18 billion to everyone. It's like,
except us. Okay. Capital gains. Here's what happens.
I'm putting all the things away so I don't throw them at the screen because I'm already angry.
Regular ass job. You go punch in your 9 to 5 or your 10 till 10 or whatever the hell it is. Okay. You make money. The government takes half that fucking money. Half of the money that you get back, you pay out a bunch of bills. You buy a bunch of groceries. You handle all that shit. You're left with a tiny little bit at the end and you invest it in a company and you do that a whole bunch. And eventually that company grows with that money that you have left over after you paid taxes, after you bought everything you need to survive and pay taxes on that too. That little bit of after-tax money
Correct.
eventually grows to something big, okay? And then when you pull dividends out of it, or when you pay yourself a wage out of that company, the company has to pay taxes on the income it generates. And then after that money, it pays you a wage, which you pay half of that on taxes again.
You're making my point for me.
All right.
You're making a point for me. I'm not good with any increase.
It's only 50%. Motherfucker, that money has gone through so
and I'm
many
angry at you for saying if they said it was going to be 2026 and you'd be like, well, it wouldn't be so bad. No, it's bad.
No, I said marginally less bad. I would say
it's no marginally less bad.
I'm not defending it. It's fucking garbage. What I'm saying is that it's even worse because of how they're doing it. Mother is an idiot.
Oh, I'm going to play that.
Hughes is an idiot.
Canada reaching 40-year low. If Canada's per capita gross domestic product does not recover in 2024, the decline since mid-2019 may be the longest in the last 4 decades, a new study has found. Despite claims to the contrary, living standards are declining in Canada, no shit, said Grady Munro, policy analyst at the Fraser Institute. Released on Thursday, the study found that from April 2019 to the end of 2023, inflation adjusted per person GDP declined from 59,905 to 58,111, or by 3%. This decline has exceeded only by the decline from 1989 to 1992.
That's not 40 years ago. Are we getting old?
We're getting old.
Jesus Christ. I looked at that and I was going to say, okay, well, you know what happened 40 years ago? Who was in charge 40 years ago? What's the thread of commonality? And I missed that part about it being in the 90s. God, so now I want to throw something at this screen.
Yes, we're getting old. We are getting old. And okay, so that's one thing, and I want to make sure we toss this into, because I got yelling at you, and I forgot about the second part of the last one, so I'm going to stick that in 40-year lows. Another significant increase in taxes on new business investment throughout the Canadian economy is most concerning of all, reads this article. It is likely the largest tax increase you've never heard of, and it will lower investment and productivity at a time when we need both. The effective tax rate placed on new investment in Canada is set to increase from 13.7% to nearly 17%. Certain types of investment will see even larger increases. The tax on machinery and equipment investment, a critical source of labor productivity growth, will see an increase of 5.7 to 14.2%. That was a lot if you're catching up to me. Here's a chart.
All your capital cost allowances, they changed the rules to try and be more competitive with the United States, and now they're slowly walking them all back. Now, this comes at a time when Canada is at a really low point in terms of GDP per person, productivity per person,
Correct.
And also investment. Nobody wants to invest in Canada right now at all.
It's because we're a dumpster fire. We're an absolute dumpster fire.
And so what we should be doing, rather than throwing out a whole bunch of just like, oh, well, you know what? What if the government just gave you the money you need to expand your company? Okay, instead of doing stuff like that, which we're going to get to, how about we make it a situation where people want to invest in companies, right? This is the Trans Mountain Pipeline all over again. Okay, you had a business that said, we want to build this, and the government said, we're going to make it too difficult, and they said, okay, fine, fuck it, I guess we're not going to build it. And then the government said, okay, well, what if we just fronted all the money for it? Okay. And how many times is that going to happen? And do you know what happens when the government pays for everything and they're the ones who give all the money to all the companies? Do you know what kind of government system that is? It's communism.
Orcas are cranky old men. Canadian discovery of orca's superpower makes them even more scary as yacht attacks rise. That's the headline, okay? I don't know how them being able to take long breaths, right? They get a ton of air off one breath and they can stand or walk. I don't know what that has to do.
That's the article, is that they
their
take
superpower is they take
or 1.7 breaths per minute.
Yeah,
that's their superpower.
I'm like, what the heck are we talking about here? They're sinking boats. They've sank fifth sinking in just 3 years. They're attacking boats. That's the story. They have some superpower.
Which is crazy.
I was expecting them to be able to fly and shoot lasers out of their eyes.
That's what you would expect for superpowers. Or maybe they've got an adamantium skeleton and out of their fins come a bunch of claws. But no, their superpower.
They can hold the breath.
You would expect them to be able to hold their breath for a while.
Oh, man. A cool perspective. What does $1 billion look like? Well, I tell you here, this is what we're going to do. What does $1 billion look like? It's roughly the total income taxes paid by households in PEI in 2022. Imagine everyone in PEI woke up and went to work for a year and paid their taxes, then hands it over to the Arrive Can Bros. That's one of the trees. There's a whole bunch of this thread was great for breaking
the Arrive
down.
Can people got $1 billion worth of contracts once you count all the other stuff that they got from the government. Okay, it wasn't just the 60 million from the Arrive Can app. They also got quite a lot of other things. And so this is one of those things. I know you've talked about it a little bit, and I have thought about it quite a bit, but it's hard to explain. Like, how much is $1 billion? How big is this debt? How much money are we blowing on these things? Because it's completely without perspective. When you look at it, you're like, okay, it'd be like an ant saying that mountain. Right? Like that's kind of what it is. It's really hard to just put the scale and the perspective on how much money this government, all of our governments, blow on stupid shit. And okay, well, here's a good way to put it: is all the tax money made from all the people in PEI. $1 billion.
It's a cool perspective. Word salad politicians. Here's okay. So it's two Polling Canada word cloud describing one Pierre Poilievre. Okay, so you're seeing confident, hopeful, and then also dishonest, gross, anger, scared, aggressive. Okay, now look at
Trudeau. You've got believable, concerned, and for the record, when it talks about concerned, if you go to the right, just go to the right for a sec. Concerned isn't that he's concerned. It's that concerned, scared, confused, unreliable, disbelief, skeptical, distrust, untrustworthy, doubt. Okay, go back again. Move to the side. Yeah. Believable, concerned, disgust. The biggest two are stupid and anger. You've also got arrogant, liar, and disappointment. Obviously, they pulled Margaret Trudeau in this. Okay, so now we're finally getting to a point where Canadian polls are actually a little bit interesting. Now, Sandy has something cool to say. On another note, Sean, Danielle Smith called you the Joe Rogan of Alberta in an interview with the CTF this week. She didn't mention two.
I got called Joe Rogan of Alberta this week? Wow, that's something.
By the premier.
Well, hey, hello, guys. That's cool. I'm surprised my phone didn't blow up. I guess, what are you going to do?
And as far as the last thing, Daryl says Canadian Taxpayers Federation says all our GST collected is the same as our debt servicing cost. Here's the thing, is all these progressive people that want us to spend more money, they don't think ahead, right? Like, oh, don't you care about all our public services? Don't you care about the free healthcare? Don't you care about all this stuff? First off, no, I don't. It can all fuck off and go away. Secondly, when you keep borrowing all this fucking asinine money, it takes away from your ability to provide those services.
Tim says, get rid of it all. Get rid of it all.
All right. Now, here we go.
Saving the planet from climate change. In March, the National Post reported that Canada had spent nearly $1.4 million to attend the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference that took place in Dubai last year. This week, an order paper question response unearthed by none other than the Canadian Taxpayers Federation contains updated numbers, putting the cost to fly and lodge 182 government-sponsored delegates closer to $3 million.
Mm-hmm. Including Show the Rapper. This guy's got tight beats.
Well, here. We'll bring it up.
You've got a bald white guy in a collared shirt.
But like Nora said, bonjour. That's the extent of my French.
Okay, that's good. I can't take this anymore. Okay,
there you go, folks.
You've got a old, bald, white dude in a collared shirt
Rapping top.
off of a laptop. Okay. And that guy, his mother is the 2001 to 2023 Forest and Fisheries Minister.
Correct.
Yeah. How do you think he got that gig?
Talent.
They
obviously
flew him,
too.
They flew him
talent.
halfway across the world.
Fantastic talent. Fantastic talent.
He doesn't even have any gold chains. His pants are at an acceptable level. This guy, we're supposed to believe he's a rapper. The only thing he's been shot with is 5 Moderna injections. All right. But $3 million. So
yes, $3 million.
We reported before that it was 1.5, and now it's up
$3
to
million.
3. So here's the way it goes. There's how much they said they spend, how much the access to information says they spend, how much you think they spend, and how much they actually spend.
It's right. It's just another version of the government doing what it does best, spending our money.
Yeah, they flew that motherfucker to Dubai. Leanne says #climate scam. Glenn says not again. Yes, absolutely. Okay, next. Oh, shoot. I double-clicked here.
Old people can't use computers. An accidental lottery purchase became a life-changing moment for Cynthia Harris of Cary when she won $736,000 prize playing a new digital instant game. Quoted, "I thought I was playing on a demo mode," she laughed. Spent $2 on a Monday morning playing Bison Bonanza.
Bison Bonanza. And so after taxes, she got to keep 500 and change of that. So I think we should really congratulate the IRS in the United States for winning the Bison Bonanza, $200,000. Good for them. Good for them. But also, it's just this classic, like, I'm pretty sure this woman can't save a Word file as PDF, right? This is the kind of thing where you just sort of, yeah, this is the classic boomer lack of ability to navigate technology resulted in a $700,000 windfall
payout
between her
and the. I would like to have that happen to me. Can I get that? I would take 700. The mashup would take 700 grand.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, if it happened to me, I wouldn't tell you, but yeah, that would, yeah, that would be awesome.
Conservative Party with liberal drama. Okay, this is, we'll see if we can break this down. BC Conservative leader John Rustad, unequivocal, he will be the party leader in the October election. His party will run 93 candidates. Any merger will be because United folding and running under Conservative banner. Then he had this long tweet talking about, about It's he's talking about the inner workings of.
Okay, go back up just a little bit.
Sure.
All right. So when I joined the Conservative Party of BC, we were the last place party. Now we're first place in many polls, and we're competing for government. So these were the underdogs. Okay. This is the underdog Conservative Party in BC. And they came up out of nowhere. He said, "I tried to come to the table months ago when BC United and the Conservatives were evenly matched in the polls so we could have the best chance of defeating the NDP. The answer we got was, fuck off."
Right.
So the establishment party, who's just riding high on their own successes, says, "No, we don't need you."
Sure, but here, but
now,
we can.
So we've worked harder to build our party.
But then he deletes the tweet,
and then he does a slightly different version of that exact same tweet.
And then now you got global news reporting. Business leaders and political organizers approached Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West about leading a potentially merged free enterprise coalition party. West is considering the option, but it would require both BC United leader Kevin Falcon and Conservative Party of BC leader John Rustad to step down from their respective parties. So me and Twos can actually try and get into this, except I don't live in BC. I'm curious what BC folks think of all this, and please let us know, because I'm like, so are they merging? Are they not merging? Is this an actual thing? Did he just get told to, you can't swear in a tweet when you're trying to be the premier? Why?
As somebody who lives in Alberta, I would strongly recommend that they don't merge the parties and end up with a watered down, not really have much to show for party that very, very many people are excessively disappointed with. Daryl says there's nothing to gain from merging the BC United for the Conservatives. And that's the thing, right? So, they went to him when they were on an even playing field and said, "Hey, what if we work together?" And they said, "No, we're in charge. We are the establishment." And then now that the establishment is tanking and is looking to pick up 0 seats in the next election, they're like, "Hey, well, just what if we join
I
forces
still
here?"
want to hear.
This is the Netflix
I know.
Blockbuster thing. This is Netflix and Blockbuster, where Blockbuster had the chance to buy Netflix for like $6 million, and they said, "No, thanks. We're Blockbuster."
I want to hear from BC. So if you're living in BC, I want to hear your thoughts. I get it, twos and Alberta politics and everything. Maybe it's the exact same thing. Maybe it is Netflix and Blockbuster, and that's exactly what's going on. I would like to hear from BC. Give me the next headline. Twos, DEI beginning to die. Barbara Furlow Smiles, a former diversity program manager at Facebook and Nike, has been sentenced for stealing more than $5 million based on an elaborate scheme involving fraudulent vendors, fictitious paperwork, and cash kickbacks.
Yes. So this was about 4.9 million from Facebook that she defrauded them, and 1 and change from Nike. So she had a sweet gig where she probably got paid a stupid amount of money to do absolutely nothing and have no deliverables, because deliverables are racism. And she squandered that opportunity by committing gross fraud. And then went over to another company and did the exact same thing again. And now she's A, required to pay it all back, and B, going to fucking jail.
Going to jail. Co-vindication. Okay, 2 here quick. EcoHealth Alliance has had their federal funds government-wide suspended by HSS for their willful violation of terms of the multi-million-dollar National Institute of Health grant.
That was for researching gain-of-function research
at the Wuhan lab.
At the Wuhan lab in China.
Correct.
Where there may or may not have been a lab leak, but there was a fucking lab leak.
Correct. And the second is the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms here in Canada is pleased to announce that it continues to see dropped charges and significantly reduced fines for Canadians who allegedly violated the Quarantine Act or who chose not to use the ArriveCan app at Canadian borders. In this specific article, they were talking about 8 Canadians in total and 13 tickets with a combined amount of $54,000. They got it down to like $1,200
or something.
Yeah. $1,200.
Yeah, which I would still be like, I'm still not paying that. You guys can fuck right off. But it is just yet another thing.
Another win.
I mean, the whole gain of function research that Fauci unequivocally said was not happening. Oh, it turns out it was. I wonder if he was lying about anything else. Honestly, it's an absolute shutout right now. We basically we're basically the Rangers at this point.
Oh, Vance Crowe somewhere is giving a fist pump as he drives and listens to this. Okay, carry on. Carbon tax award. Ugh, man. Okay, first, I'm going to bring up the Stephen Guilbeault, okay? Here's Stephen Guilbeault. Thank you, Climate Scorecard Canada. This recognition reflects the teamwork and dedication of everyone involved in our commitment to reducing Canada's greenhouse gas emissions and creating a sustainable future. This award would not be possible without you. That's right, because they provided you did.
There's a government climate leadership award.
And then I want to play this.
No. Real quick. Okay, fine. Okay, but
no. Here, I'll go back to the climate scorecard.
All right.
Climate scorecard.
This is a government climate leadership award presented from an organization that no one's ever fucking heard of to a guy who's a complete fucking idiot. Now, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I was talking about when I decided that we should become award-winning podcasters, Sean.
Okay.
This is that exact
Well, I agree
thing
with that. I agree with that.
We mocked a year ago, and now it's coming back.
With our federal government. Here's Trudeau as well.
This is what Pierre Poilievre is talking about when he talks about axing the tax. He talks about stopping the fight against climate change at a time where the country is burning, at a time where floods and storms are having an impact on every part of the country, and at a time when
the country is burning and we have floods. Do you know how hard it is to burn something while simultaneously flooding it, Sean? Literally in the same sentence, he said that we're burning and flooding.
Correct. Can we get to the final part of it?
Sure.
Canadians are struggling with the cost of living. He wants to take away checks that put more money in their pockets.
That's what I wanted to get to. He wants to take away that we're putting more money in their pockets too. This carbon tax is putting more money in your pockets.
If it actually was true, given how shitty the economy is doing right now, he would
We know
make
it-
the carbon tax 7 million % and everybody would be rich.
Here's the thing. I've like Chris Sims breaks it down beautifully. Multiple people have broken it down beautifully about how much of a BS that is. What he just said there over and over again. Not only the flooding and the fire at the same time. It just there's so much there. The Liberals are not a serious party, dudes.
No, they aren't. So
Or they-
Carla says, when did this department become environment and climate change? When Catherine McKenna was running it. I think in like 2016 or 2017, they changed the name. That's how long ago it's been. So sorry for the bad news, but welcome to the party.
Carbon tax award. Nope, we've already had that. Trudeau being Trudeau. Do you want this entire video? Is this what we're
Play like the last 7 seconds of it.
last 7 seconds, he says, folks. All right, here we go.
Against climate change by eliminating the price on pollution and the checks that land in Canadians' pockets. But also on the issue of making sure that we're not further vulnerabilizing our most vulnerable kids.
We like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind. It's
yeah.
more inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
And the budget will balance itself.
Man!
You are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Yeah, so we're just gonna keep making up words until something sticks. Just like happened with zombie fires.
Oh, man. I'm tired of talking about Trudeau. Man, the guy just drives me absolutely bonkers. Pass the duchy. This is well, depends if you grew up in this era or not, I suppose, to the younger folks. But
He's from Moose Jaw, right?
yep. Yeah, I believe so, yes. Darren Detition passing away.
Yeah.
Longtime TSN host. There you go.
Yeah,
From
so
prostate
sad
cancer, I
moment.
believe. Or, well, it started as prostate cancer.
He's, unless I'm mistaken, I think he's the only person who did 2 separate cameos on Corner Gas. So, yeah.
John A. McRacist. Twos, you got to show me what you're doing here because,
Okay.
folks, he sent me this one and then I put literally in the show notes, lean on twos because I have no idea what I was staring at or he didn't send me the right thing. So let's see what you
So-
got going on.
Yes, weekly offer, Bellevue National Historic Site. Experience history at Bellevue House National Historic Site. Engage with many voices, reflect on the challenging legacy of Sir John A. Macdonald, and join the conversation about Canada's first Prime Minister. Take in one of the self-guided opportunities. What conversation are you going to join if you're on a self-guided tour exactly? But here's where it gets unpacking MacDonald. MacDonald was a lifelong politician who had a great influence in shaping Canada into the country it is today, which I would argue today was kind of a dick move. There's a lot to unpack about his complex legacy. The tour is for people looking to examine topics like social class structures, racism, and sexism in Victorian Canada, while looking closer at some of MacDonald's political decisions. Bring an open mind and an open heart and join the discussion in this safe space. 60 to 90 minutes. Here's some hours it's open.
I
up
get
to
the point.
14
I get the
people,
point. Dudes, I get the point.
$9. Okay. I
what do
go
you-
to a museum. I want to read little placards about the particular finer points of blacksmithing in that region. I want to hear about the problems that pioneers had with beaver populations. I want to see stuff like that. I want to see some old tools made from stone and wood. I don't want a bunch of $7 word salad bullshit DEI initiative things talking about a guy who didn't even know any of that stuff existed. It's completely irrelevant and
You don't
silly.
want you
and yet
don't
we're
want a
paying for
black
it.
samurai in a Japanese Assassin's Creed game?
I mean, this stuff's just silly. I wonder if we should get into access to information, Sean, because I would love to know how much money they spent planning it, opening it, staffing it, and then how much revenue that particular exhibit generated, because that would be interesting for
Well,
me anyway.
you're giving a great idea to Blacklocks if they're listening, or to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, because they love to dig into that stuff.
Well, they're the
Trudeau-
ones who broke the whole thing about the $3 million,
Yes.
by the way.
Yes.
That was
well,
Canadian
between
tax-
those between Canadian taxpayers and Trudeau, Blacklocks
Blacklock.
reporter, they break pretty much everything in this country. Trudeau never passed a chance to give away our money. Investment of over 1.7 million for Ital Pasta Limited to enhance the production of its made in Canada pasta products. The project will support clean growth outcomes by reducing the company's energy consumption and carbon footprint by 20% through its modernized storage silos and manufacturing processes.
Yes. So $1.7 million is going to generate 10 jobs. Also, hey, click on that first picture here. Here's a picture of the people at the unveiling. Now, I don't want to assume where everybody's from, but there aren't a lot of people in this picture that look Italian, except for that guy on the right who's totally fucking Italian. But aside from him, you've got a lot of people who look as though them being working at a pasta company might be what you call cultural appropriation. And our government is supporting cultural appropriation. Also, it should be worth mentioning that Stephen Harper gave them $3.4 million 9 years ago for the creation of 8 jobs. And it was announced by Jerry Ritz, who, generally speaking, I have a lot of time for, just not in this case.
Stop calling them loopholes. A loophole in the House of Commons spending rules has allowed MPs traveling to party conventions to bill taxpayers for more than $500,000 over the past years, even though House of Commons rules normally prohibit MPs from charging expenses linked to partisan political activity. Since May 2023, MPs have charged to the House of Commons $538,000 in travel, accommodations, meals, and incidental costs associated with attending caucus meetings held in connection with party conventions. If a party holds a national caucus meeting at the same time and place as its party convention, MPs, their employees, and designated travelers, which is generally spouses, can charge travel, 2 nights of accommodation, meals, and incidentals to attend the caucus meeting, effectively subsidizing their travel to the convention at the same time. Conservative MPs racked up 79% of these charges, spending. They billed the House of Commons $426,000 to attend a caucus meeting associated with Conservative Party policy convention in Quebec City in September 2023. Dudes.
Why did they go to Quebec City? They've got everything in Western Canada. Like, they've got just about every seat in Western Canada. You would think that they would hold it someplace central, like Ponoka. But no, they've got to have it in fucking Quebec. Why would you not want to support the businesses, the hotels, and the restaurants and stuff in your ridings? These people are so out of touch. Also, how fucking crazy is it that your MP's spouse can fly and get 2 nights of accommodation and meals and everything like that? Like, anytime I've you look into some international travel with a company you work for, right? They'll say, yeah, you know what, if your wife wants to come along with or whatever else, we'll book it so you guys are sitting together, and then you got to pay us back the flight cost, and then she's on her own for meals and stuff, right? That's generally how it goes. That's pretty damn standard. What company ever would just be like, oh yeah, just bring your whole damn family, bring your cousins? It's ridiculous. But they're the people who make these rules. They're like, well, yeah, we passed a law that says our wife can travel with us, and now it's illegal to not do this, so you have to do it.
1.4 billion in grammar lessons. Here's the headline. Quebec woman mauled in dog attacks wins $460K civil case against small town and owner.
against small town and owner. All right, just read that slowly for a second. For those of you listening, Quebec woman mauled in dog attack wins $460K civil case against small town and owner. Somebody owns this small town? I didn't realize that somebody owned this small town. Is this Schitt's Creek? We pay $1.4 billion for this hard-cutting journalism, and they can't even formulate a fucking headline that makes grammatical sense.
CBC being CBC. Okay, pro-Palestinian protests continue to grow on campuses across North America, with encampments at 15 Canadian universities set up to date. But the demonstrations have also attracted scrutiny, with some critics raising questions about who is supporting these groups and pointing to outsider agitators and shadowy sources of funding. For example, speaking in the House of Commons last week, Kevin Young, independent MP, claimed that the University of Toronto encampment was a sham protest and the majority of these protests were demonstrators for hire, not students. The article went on to say
there was a prof that went undercover there that basically verified that, and CBC's trying to discredit this whole thing. Like, here's their tweet. The tactic of blaming, this is at CBC News, the tactic of blaming outside agitators has been used to discredit protests at least as far back as the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement. Says an historian is what it should say, but it says a historian because we pay them $1.4 billion to not understand fucking sentence structure of student activism. And here is CBC retracts another Freedom Convoy story. Do you remember that time, Sean?
Yes.
When the CBC lady said on the air that it was Russian, it was infiltrated by the Russians, and then they had to walk that back?
Yes.
It's weird that the CBC didn't mention it, because if they're looking for salient examples of this, they have one literally in their own fucking house.
I couldn't agree more, Tease. I got nothing to say. They literally are the reason, in our own country, they were the misinformation. They were the ones discrediting killer high heels.
That was
Colorado.
Okay, it just sounded like you said they were the ones discrediting killer high heels.
Sorry, they were the ones discrediting the most peaceful march, grassroots, and they literally wrote articles on foreign funding, neo-Nazism, all this stuff. And then I go back up to it. On March 3rd, GoFundMe told the Commons Public Safety Committee that foreigners made up only a small portion of the convoy donations. Most dollar amounts were small. Credit card records found no donations by terrorist groups, neo-Nazis, or other criminals. Quoted, our records show 88% of donated funds originated in Canada. That was the GoFundMe president who testified. And that's in this is the correction they made after they just slandered the entire thing. They and then didn't show up to any of it. Didn't report on any of it.
Actually, there was one part where they showed up and they purposely, there was just a dozen people on the very edge of it, and they were filming that like it was the protest.
While I was in Ottawa, there was a camera crew with no signage on any of their stuff on top of whatever. I can't remember what it's called. It had security guards.
That's how they work.
Wouldn't let me get close, and their cameras were pointed the opposite way of the protest.
Yep.
I was like, that's really strange.
When I was at Tucker Carlson.
So I saw firsthand. Yeah. Saw firsthand.
Tucker Carlson, they were outside reporting. I don't know. I never saw it because nobody watches the CBC. But there was a bunch of unlabeled, just plainclothes cops type things. But they were supposed to be reporters, and I didn't recognize any of them because who the fuck watches CBC?
Lots of high heels, killer high heels.
Yeah, sorry.
Killer high heels. A Colorado Marine vet claims to have repeatedly discovered high heels in a secluded area of western Colorado. He believes he may have stumbled upon a crime scene linked to a serial killer. Finding a random shoe out in the middle of nowhere may seem odd, but by the seventh pair, he started to get uneasy. He continued his search the next day, and again, another pair of shoes, bringing his total up to 10 pairs of women's shoes found out in the middle of nowhere next to a hidden pond.
Yeah, so he's wondering if so this guy does epoxy YouTube videos, but then he does this video where he's like, check out this weird stuff that's happening. This is the crazy stuff that I found. The high heels, the fact that it's only high heels or footwear anyway, makes it seem like it's probably just a fucking pervert, but who knows? But he's trying to get more interested in having people look into this, and he's getting the cold shoulder from the authorities in the States. I say he should just dredge that pond. Get some scuba gear, go down there, see what you find, make a fun video out of it, and then if you find something nefarious, you're the guy who did it, while the actual law enforcement in your country was like, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine. I'm going to have a donut.
Yeah. Lots of trans stuff. Peru has officially classified trans people as mentally ill. You heard that correct, folks. Transsexualism, dual role transvestism, whatever that is, gender identity disorder in childhood, other gender identity disorders, and fetishistic transvestism, oh man, are now all recorded as mental illnesses in Peru. Of course, it's faced a ton of backlash.
Not from here.
No. And then the other one is breaking in California. $360,000 was paid by California, to a former teacher, Jessia Tapia, who was fired for refusing to use preferred pronouns. And there she is. So there's Peru doing its thing. There's California having to pay a former teacher a ton of money for getting rid of her because she wouldn't
not
use pronouns.
And here's the thing: is if they're preferred pronouns, change the name. Let's be honest here. Let's start calling them coerced pronouns or mandatory pronouns, because they're not preferred pronouns. And actually, you know what? They're not mandatory either. They're just coerced pronouns. They're highly pressured pronouns.
Red Lobster shuts its crab trap.
Crab
trap. Crab trap. Red Lobster is abruptly closing at least 48 of its restaurants around the country, according to a leading restaurant liquidator. Red Lobster is reportedly considering filing for bankruptcy protection. The chain has tapped a restructuring expert as its chief executive and possible indicator of an impending bankruptcy. One of the things it points to was the fact you could get unlimited shrimp as maybe a poor choice of what they did.
Yeah, it was the latest in a string of bad decisions. We talked about it a couple months ago, but here's the fallout of it is now they closed 50 stores or 48 stores
48.
Of a total of 650, I think they have in the States, which is a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
Yeah.
Were you a Red Lobster fan too?
I was. I used to really like going to the one in Saskatoon, but I could never afford it. And then,
It's one of the places I took Mel on, not our first date, but certainly first month of dating, I want to say.
Yeah.
We went to a Red Lobster. Yeah. I had a point in time in my life it was a Red Lobster fan, but I mean, I guess I'm not searching it out anymore.
I still like they like the unlimited clam chowder. Oh, so good, right? It's one of those things where I never think of going there now, but every time I see or hear Red Lobster, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like that place. I should go more often.
There's a new sheriff in town. Deanna Sheriff is in jail until August 14th. Do I need to say more?
So this is kind of a professional protester. She's basically become a meme because she's just this angry, weird-looking lady who just goes around yelling into a megaphone all the time. One N in, but you'll probably get a lot. She goes around yelling at everybody and has the rainbow hair, and she got in the face of the wrong people, pushed a little bit too far at a protest, which, by the way, she's just going around swearing all the time at these protests with her little kid in tow with her.
Yeah.
And
there you go. There's another one.
Yeah. So here's, I'm sure you've seen these pictures of her just being an absolute whack job. So now she's got to spend 2.5 or 3.5 months in jail, waiting on her, because she didn't get bail. So she's like the only person who can't get bail in Canada aside from Tamara Lich and the Coots people. So I don't know. I've got a few mixed feelings about this. One, our justice system is totally fucked. She shouldn't be spending months in jail for this. Two, instead of sending her to jail, we need to send this woman to a psych ward. And three, I have more than a little bit of schadenfreude for these ridiculous leftists who have been more than happy to see our justice system and our police and everything like that militantly used against people like us. And now it's being turned in their direction. And I just want to laugh and watch it all burn. I don't know if that makes me a bad person.
It does make you a bad person because I mean, like literally, I watched it. And I'm like, eventually it comes for you. That's why.
That's exactly it.
So like I don't know. I've seen all the videos of her for a long time. I'm like, this lady looks totally insane.
She absolutely is. She should be in a psych ward. But yeah, it's funny. They feed this beast, thinking that it's going to be great because it's going to eat all their enemies. But eventually, that beast is it just keeps getting bigger and stronger, and eventually it eats you. Same thing that happened with unions in Canada when you think about it.
A new way to win. Canada was the third choice for their new plant. However, after getting a $15 billion investment from the government, Honda has now selected Port Colborne for the EV battery plant. I don't know if I have the video.
We talked about
I do.
how Honda was going to do. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to play the audio because
all right. I mean, but here's this lady saying it and then her translator repeating it in Japanese. But they said that when they were analyzing things, Canada was third place in terms of where they wanted to build this EV plant, which probably it was a very short list to begin with, right?
I would agree.
It was probably the three places they were looking at, if I had to guess, were going to be the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And out of those three places, we got third, which in this case means dead fucking last. And the only thing that put it over the edge was that the Liberals said, what if we gave you $15 billion? For those of you who are just tuning in now, that's roughly the equivalent to as much tax money as Prince Edward Island makes in 15 years.
An independent Quebec. Quebec has all it needs to become a green economy leader as long as it dissociates itself from the Canadian oil state. Bloc Québécois leader Yves François Blanchet told a business audience in Montreal on Tuesday. Quebec's renewable energy, critical minerals, research centers, and green technologies are all assets to the launch an economy of the future that could serve as a model for other nations, Blanchet said. Quebec is maybe the best placed state in the world to suggest a different model of reconciling the environment and the economy, he said, before adding that this destiny isn't possible in the oil economy of Canada and its pipe dreams. And, well, do we need to say anything more than this, too?
Here's the equalization map for this year and next year. A whole lot of zeros in Western Canada, and then Quebec getting 13.3 billion in equalization. They don't want the oil. They don't want to have an oil-based economy. Literally, their economy is national welfare, and that money comes from oil. Okay? If you guys think that you could separate and still have a nice green economy, I say fucking go for it and save us all $13 billion a year. Also, furthermore, a big part of their green power comes from the Churchill Falls in Labrador. Honestly, if Quebec fucking separated, which I highly encourage them to do, I would then highly encourage Danielle Smith to pay Labrador more money than they're getting from fucking Quebec for that power generation. Just be like, oh, well, you guys don't want to be part of Canada anymore? We should shut off the power. And then Newfoundland Labrador would say, well, Lord Thunder and Jesus body, they give us a little bit of money here. What's going on? And you'd say, okay, it's fine. We'll cover the bill. How much money were you going to make from them? Okay, $17 million. Here's $18 million. Just don't give them that fucking power because they're a bunch of dicks. This is how angry I am with Quebec, that not only do I want them to separate, but I also want to see them completely fucked over. Fucking Quebec.
And only
Okay, well, what were you gonna say?
I just get it. Like tell the Quebec listener. If we got anybody out there, because we pushed on it for a long time. I'm like, they must hate twos by now. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious.
I
I
don't
would
know.
love to hear in the
I
comments.
know a couple people listen to this show from fucking Quebec.
I know.
But they never say anything. Okay, now where are we next? Oh, yes, here we go. This one's a fun article.
Afghanistan, come for the sandy beaches. Stay because they killed you. The headline of this article: could Afghanistan become a tourist destination?
Yeah, and so it starts looking at, well, it says in 2023, there were 7,000 foreign visitors to Afghanistan. How many of them were military? It doesn't say.
It doesn't say. And then it goes on, Afghanistan's rulers are globally shunned due to terrorist attacks, threats, and women are still prevented from going to school beyond grade 6, working outside the home, and going anywhere without a male guardian. Yeah.
Like, I feel like you've got a lot of shit to figure out before you start worrying about your tourism industry. But
yeah, I don't think anyone's going there.
I love this part though. So the biggest foreign visitor market is China because of its location and large population, according to Mohammed Saeed, the head of tourism directorate in Kabul, which sounds like a pretty fucking pointless job. They've told me they don't want to go to Pakistan because it's dangerous and they get attacked. The Japanese have said this to me also. Saeed said, "This is good for us. Come visit Afghanistan. It's slightly less dangerous than Pakistan."
Stop criminals by making it illegal. The Ford government wants to attach a 10-year driver's license suspension to the first conviction of auto theft that involved violence, use of weapon force, or where the theft was motivated by financial gain. The suspension could extend 15 years for a second offense and a lifetime driving ban on a third.
Yeah, so what they're going to do is if you're committing car theft, if you're stealing a car, they're going to make it illegal. They're going to make it illegal for you to legally have a car after that. They're literally taking the exact same approach they had to gun control, and they're trying to apply it to cars and thinking somehow magically it's going to be something different. This is it's the kind of stupidity you could only ever expect to see from the government.
Recall legislation recalled. A Calgary attempt to oust Mayor Jody Gondak from office via recall petition earlier this year garnered just over 69,000 signatures, according to City Clerk Kate Martin, who formally declared the petition insufficient at a special council meeting Monday morning. Quoted, the unverified count was 69,344 petitioners, or 5.39% of the city's population, and it's therefore insufficient, she told council. And then
they also disqualified every single signature.
They went on to disqualify everything, and this is what it said. 100% of the signatures were invalid because we were missing a simple sentence directing people to the head petitioner with any questions, even though that information was always posted on the COC website. February 6th, I asked the City of Calgary clerks if the information in my petition sheet would be sufficient. They told me it was, but to make sure to contact the Municipal Affairs Minister, Rick McIver. Rick McIver did not want to get involved with the process, even just to clarify the legislation. No help was given to me on this and many other legislative recall issues. This was always about getting rid of Gondak and her tax-hunting administration, but we were also able to expose the absolute nuttiness of the process. The sample petition given to me February does not include what they said was required.
They gave him a sample. They said, if you're going to do a recall petition, here's something that it might look like. And that didn't even have all the legal requirements for it, according to them. So they basically threw the whole thing out on a technicality, which is the most entrenched political bullshit move I could possibly imagine. And I would say that this, as much as it sucks for Landon, I would say that this is probably the best possible outcome. Because it's not, oh, well, there weren't enough signatures, or, oh, we didn't get enough interest. It was, we do whatever the fuck we want. We don't give a shit what any of you think. And we've decided that nothing any of these 70,000 people had to say, was worth a fucking damn. And if that doesn't shine more light on things, that puts more light on things than a successful petition ever possibly could have.
Well, I mean, a successful petition would have got her ousted, but hey.
Yeah, sure.
Pride
whatever.
Parade inclusivity. Organizers of Regina's Pride Parade have barred legislative members of the governing Saskatchewan Party from participating in the event in June. Queen City Parade said Monday that the ban is a result of the government of Saskatchewan passing legislation last October that prevents the children under 16 years of age from changing their names or pronouns at school without parental consent. And because of that, they said, you're not allowed here.
Yeah, how dare you get the parents involved? We don't want you in our inclusive parade. They said, and I quote, we can't have them masquerading as allies. So basically, they don't want people at this gay and trans pride parade who are going to be pretending to be something that they aren't.
Correct. I got nothing to add. Federal employees crying from home. We've waited a long time to get to this one. Federal public servants are mandated to return to in-person work this winter and early spring after working remotely for 3 years. And some of those with children are working to find spots for their children in extended day programs. Sounds like it's a bit painful, too.
Well, no, actually, it sounds like they're lazy, believe it or not. Okay, over this, it also meant we have the rhythm in our life, with rhythm soon to be disrupted. Lipinski is now one of the many parents in the public service seeking care for the children. The extended day program at her kids' school remains a possibility if there are spots available. Lipinski still doesn't know. She's literally going on the CBC talking about how much this is going to disrupt her life, and she hasn't even bothered to do the legwork to find out if there's any spots at the after-school program at the school that her kids are already in. And these are the people that we're going to say are going to do a good job of handling our tax fucking records.
I welcome to the club, public sector servant work. You're now welcome to the world of the rest of us, where we have to go out and find good things for our children. Suck it.
And then there was another guy.
Don't care.
I don't know if you watched the video or not, but they had another guy who said, there's just all this added cost now, and I'm not sure where it's going to come from. Motherfucker. Everything you just said. By the way, let's go back for a second. So there's the comments have been coming in like crazy. It's awesome. Here we go. I want to do everything I can to help fucking Quebec with their fucking independence. How the fuck can I help? Honestly,
I'm glad Tooz is rubbing off
to a good start.
Okay? Oh boy. We got happy news?
Yes, that is what's next.
Happy news here, folks.
Full
okay?
disclosure, this is a buddy of mine's involved with this, and he asked if we could talk about it. So,
a little insider trading, buddy.
Yeah, we got a little inside baseball going on here.
All right, the Institute of Saskatchewan Football being introduced. This is going to be interesting. I assume you have the inside track. When I read it, it feels like kind of like a hockey academy, except for football. Am I wrong? I mean,
from my understanding, that's kind of what it is. It's basically it's going to be a high school program with a heavy reliance on phys ed that's going to focus presumably primarily on football. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a few math class where they do curvature of a graph in the shape of a football or something like that. But this is good. Saskatchewan has been a really good place in terms of developing football for a long time. And now they've got something vaguely along the lines of Notre Dame a little bit, maybe not exactly. I don't know a lot of the finer points of it, but I think it's really cool that you've got more of these educational options, where kids can go rather than a conventional model.
I was happy to see in their stuff that broke it down, because all I wanted to know was if it says inclusivity, diversity, equity, anything of that, I'm going to punch my screen, and it didn't. And I appreciated that. So I will agree with you on happy news this week. All right. So be interested to see what comes of that. Okay, community notes. June 22nd, Aaron Goodwin and Garrett Gregory. That's in Marwayne. You got June 7th, Il Scarlet in Calgary and other
Yes.
places.
Mhm.
June 17th.
Well,
you got
the other places aren't on the 7th, but they're doing a bit of a tour. So just check out wherever they're at locally.
an Injection of Truth Town Hall, June 17th in Calgary. They're hosting world-class experts to present the medical and scientific case for stopping COVID mRNA injections in children. It's going to have all these doctors: Eric Payne, Chris Shoemaker, Byron Brattle, Jessica Rose, William Mackis, David Wiseman. I feel like there's a couple that I'm missing. A couple of MLAs from all over the place are going to be there. They got their ticket. They got booted from Eventbrite.
Yeah,
so
and one of the NDP harpies was complaining about this in question period, so it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal coming up on June 17th. Zane.
I was just going to say, we got a comment coming in from Zane Southgate. Happy news, current events. Jade's ride for mental health. Jade Dull is riding her bicycle from coast to coast. Started in Prince Rupert on 6th of May. Currently near Prince George. That's a lot of princes. It's kind of like a spin
As a
doctor
guy
song coming to life.
As a guy who's biked across the country, my hat's off to her, because it's one way to see this country on a pedal bike. That'll be a lot of fun for her. We started on the other side, though. We started St. John's and rode the mountains last. I can't imagine riding the mountains first myself, but hey,
I mean, you get it out of the way, and
I know
as far as mountains go, it's all downhill from there.
Well, honestly, it kind of is, and you get the prevailing wind. The wind comes from the west. Winds. I would take the prevailing wind now more than I'd take what size of hill or anything, because you got to fight the wind all day long. It sucks. Either way, Mashup 107 in the books. Thanks for joining us this morning. Two's, any final thoughts before we get on with our day?
Well, I don't know, Sean. I mean, I think we covered most of everything important. I don't know if there's anything, we talked about earlier on the show that you want to come back to.
Game 6, boys and girls.
Saturday
night.
Oilers.
That'll be all. Hey,
Oilers suck. They really suck. McDavid sucks.
Thanks for joining.
Moose
Twos.
Sucks. Wayne sucks.
Can't wait to see the Oilers win Game 6. We'll see what comes next week here on the Mashup 108. That's all we got for you. We'll catch up to you next week.
See you guys.